Hey, gang, what's going on? And welcome to Talking Vegas All Day with KA. I'm your host, as always, KA, wishing you and yours a very safe and happy holiday season. Today on the show, we're going to discuss a series that I used to go to a lot. It was the casinos and hotels that were never meant to be. If you remember early on, I did a couple episodes, and I think I did Xanadu was my latest one on that. I think it was sometime either last year, early last year. But we're going to go back and revisit this series because I've been doing some research and I found some more interesting stories on this. And today we're going to be discussing the Pharaoh's kingdom. This is a short and wild story with a really interesting concept that would later go on to, of course, inspire the Luxor. The thing I think that stuck out to me about this little um, story while I was researching it was that while it has typical financial issues, there's this little twist with like organized crime and just it was a really interesting story. Um, but before we get started, make sure to hit the like button. And if you like the show, please leave a comment. Love hearing from you guys. Or even better yet, subscribe so that you know when I drop new episodes periodically. And also, I love hearing from you and interacting with everybody on social media. And I'm on Twitter at Vegas underscore KA. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Talking Vegas All Day with KA. But I interact the most at Twitter, obviously. And then the show's also available, as you know, on Apple and Spotify platforms as well. And again, we recently hit a milestone. We are over 250 followers on Facebook and about 150 on the platform podcast. So, last year at this time, I was right around 150 total. So, this is great to see the podcast slowly growing, slowly getting form. So, um, we'll talk about that next week on my season year review show. But let's go ahead and get started on an all new episode Talking Vegas with me, KA.
Let's go to Vegas, baby. Let's go tonight.
Right now,
Let's go to Vegas. We'll stay up all night.
I've been in
Let's go to Vegas.
So the story of Pharaoh's Kingdom starts around September of 1988 when Frank Gabino, a longtime Vegas executive, he was worked at the Golden Nugget in the Dunes, and Anthony Solano, a Connecticut-based developer, pitched a 710-acre project south of the Tropicana to the Gaming Commission. What I found interesting was at the beginning of this, he basically says when like they make the announcement that we're 100% in place with financing. Um, Gambella says he declined to name the sources of the financing, but said several entities were involved, indicating financiers may be grouped under the umbrella of a single Nevada corporation. So this goes to tell me right away something's a little shady there. I know usually when people don't name their sources of financing, but they'll say we have multiple financiers. Like we're seeing that kind of right now with net zero. This is kind of screaming to me about what's going on with that net zero project that they're having up at north between Sahara and Fountain Blue right now. And I guess the gaming board in Nevada was curious about his partner Anthony Solano because apparently 6 years prior he was acquitted on drug trafficking, and he's had a real shady past with other sort of organized outfits. And so, but Gambell at the time was like, no, no, I don't see any problems. And so we're already off to a great start on this announcement day that you have this kind of partner that's got a shady past. Where's all the financing come from? Over 100% pass. I find this very typical in a lot of these stories of research, but it gets better. But let's talk about the property. So Ferris Kingdom, if you Google the name, there's a concepts that they presented. It's basically the Luxor on steroids, like two pyramids, whole bunch of different acres, like a theme kind of area. But it was called for 10 hotels anchored by a 5,000 room tower, basically a massive casino, an 80-acre theme park, 18-hole golf course, and 700 villas for residents. So this is like a mega like a small city mega resort already. A couple other specs I found would be complex would be dotted with pyramid shaped buildings, man made beaches, sphinxes, which we saw in the Luxor, waterways reminiscent of the banks of the Nile. And then, of course, your dining facilities, an underwater seafood restaurant, um, 100 live games, 3,000 slot machines, according to Gambella. They would have a recreational vehicle park, so an RV park, mini golf, bowling alleys, and arcade position alongside the adult gaming. So this thing had everything. It's a one shot stop shop. And so this is like another one of those mega casinos. Um, but it's almost like a Disneyland. And that was kind of at that time there, I guess that was kind of at the time we were going into those themed like Excalibur kind of, even though it was much later, you know, kind of things. I mean, that was kind of Disney Vegas era, I guess. I think the thing that sticks out to me the most, folks, is there's also plans were included for a senior community and hospital. So they're going to have 750 condominiums for permanent residents, 900 apartments for retirees, a care center was going to be built. Now, to me, this sounds really interesting because let's think about it. People are going to go to Vegas that are retired, they have lots of money. So, what better way than to say, oh, hey, you're on this property here. Why don't you you're paying to be on this property, on these condos, but now you can just walk right down the way and, put your money in the slot machine. That's a really interesting business idea. So, not only are you going to be able to retire to this awesome hotel and casino, you're also going to be able to gamble there. And I bet you down the road they would have like, oh, senior game day and all that. It's kind of an interesting thing. Anyway, Gambella predicted that the steamship would be open. The Egyptian theme resort would be open by Labor Day of 1990. And they wanted to break ground in March of April of 89. So this is a pretty interesting development for as big as it was. I mean, they're looking at a year, probably and a half of development. That's ambitious. And he also went on to say that, it would employ 800 workers. Well, so this whole ambitious project, how much do you think that would cost? He was like, oh, it would cost a couple million. And in the end, the resource was basically buried by its own $1.6 billion price tag, which 1988 is a massive amount. Um, and basically, despite him selling everybody, oh, this is a done deal. Here we go. Let's get everybody together. Apparently, it never got past the planning stages. So, yeah, it was dead in the water. Now, here's the fun part. So, Gambella's partner, Anthony Solano, he gets picked up by the authorities. And why? His fundraising efforts to raise the funds for the Pharaoh's kingdom included support from then Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos. Now you're thinking, okay, some Philippine president, that's not on the up and up, but okay. Well, basically in 1997, Solana described to the federal court that an association and associates in him hacked Marcos's Switzerland bank accounts and searched assets of the former dictator following his death in 89. So basically, they had a lead on this guy after he died and basically went and hacked his bank accounts. And basically, going to take all his money to fund this project. And basically, he was, found guilty, and the rest is history. Um, Later on, they asked Gambella and a couple other people involved when they heard basically that the project was done. They all disavowed Solano, and the rest is history. Although, funny thing, in 91, it would go on to create the Luxor. Luxor then would open up in that area, and it was kind of the predecessor. So somebody asked him later in that year after the opening, how you feel about the Luxor? And Gambella's response was, I want to put my foot right through a television every time I see it. So that is the story of Pharaoh's kingdom. Now, I'm sure there you could go and find a lot more, but very interesting and ambitious idea, marred in financial and very illegal things. So, hope you enjoyed our show for today. Again, on the way out, make sure you hit that like button. And if you leave a comment or subscribe. Again, I'd love to get to 500 people by this time next year if possible. Again, interact with me on Facebook and social media. And everybody out there have a happy holiday. And we'll see you next time on Talking Vegas All Day with me, KA.